closed qualifiers for the Asian Minor here for the Southeast Asian region, of course. My name's Jacob Osipenko, joined by Jordan Elfish, Guy Mays, and we just saw Boot kind of be stomped, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit. Pretty disappointing performance, actually, from Boot dreamScape. I certainly have come accustomed to seeing a lot better performances from them than what we did there. There was some moments, like Tommy looked good at times, Splashky looked good at times when he had the AWP. But by and large, things were not really going the way that they should have. They were missing their shots. They were fundamentally not playing the way that they needed to be. They were setting up smokes where angles weren't being held properly. They seemed to be making decisions on the fly and then kind of trying to react really quickly, but then getting caught with grenades out. They were all getting caught by pop flashes. No one was playing anti-flash. There was a lot of errors there coming out from Boot dreamScape that, look, they should be fairly easy to fix, and to be honest, I would have thought that they would have fixed them during that game. But we're moving on to Nuke now, which is definitely a map that Boot dreamScape is, again, going to be comfortable on, but we would have said the same thing about Inferno. So definitely some questions arising now about Boot dreamScape.
At least with Nuke, we have good representation of how Boot have been in the past, even with their kind of underperforming form at the moment. I think if we look forward to a team like Vindicta, who are definitely the underdogs, they've stepped up. Like, Dark on the AWP has been pretty consistent, but I think in that game it was more a story about Egoists and maybe Lenny at points as well. I'm looking forward to what they can do on Nuke, because for them it has previously been one of their worst maps. So if they can make a change here, then it gives me more confidence for them moving forward into qualifying for the Asian Minor.
Yeah, well, Dark was certainly one of the players that did step up toward the beginning of that map. He was the one that really started things off well for Vindicta, where they got off to that 5-0, 6-0 sort of a start. But then, we saw a good clutch out from Lenny, a good couple of clutches out from Lenny, and Egoist, I don't know if I would necessarily agree. I don't think he had the biggest of impacts. He was just being solid. I
think he had 1 or 2 good rounds, and the issue was that it wasn't solid across the board.
Yeah, it wasn't not that it wasn't solid across the board, but it wasn't necessarily like game-breaking impact kind of thing, which is definitely what we saw from Dark. He really stepped up quite huge, and Lenny with that 1 round in particular, very big stuff from him. Now looking into this map, again, we're going to be looking at those same players. Your AWP's going to have an impact here. We're going to be seeing Vindicta, I would assume at least, starting off on CT side because it was Boot's map choice, so Vindicta will get to choose the side. Of course, you want to start off on CT on Nuke. And this is their chance really to kind of put Boot dreamScape in the ground. If they get a 2-0 in this first round of the bracket here in the Asia Minor qualifiers, that's absolutely huge against a team like Boot dreamScape. Sure, it doesn't necessarily mean too much heading on later on down the track. You're going to be probably versing Lucid Dream and Signature, these 2 teams that are in really good form right now, so very tough for Vindicta nonetheless. But you've already knocked down Boot dreamScape, which is something to pat yourself on the back about.
Yeah, it's going to be painful for any team that has to verse them. Of course, in a double elimination bracket, still an opportunity for Boot to make their way through to the final. But I believe best of 5 advantage for the upper bracket as well, which is an opportunity for Vindicta if they can make it past a team like Lucid Dream expecting to kind of be here. But on that note as well, if a team like Vindicta can take a team down like Boot, then what say you that a team like Lucid Dream couldn't kind of do the same?
Oh yeah, definitely. Someone like Lucid Dream or Signature have already shown in the past the ability to beat Boot as well. I thought you were going to go with, if they beat Boot, can they then not beat Lucid or Signature? Which I would say not necessarily, because right now Boot's form is not so great. For Lucid and Signature, their form actually seems to be pretty good, especially in the case of Signature. So I would still be a little bit worried here if I'm Vindicta. Not necessarily that, like, we're not a good team, we're not going to be able to beat these guys. But I would be worried because of the teams that you're likely going to have to verse in this qualifier are very strong and informed teams as well. So this one result, you can take some degree of stock out of it, but not too much. It's not the be-all, end-all. You can't start saying, hey, we qualified for the Asia Minor, we've beaten Boot dreamScape, everything's going to be easy from here on out. That's definitely not the case, and in fact, it might actually be a nice warm-up for Vindicta here, because Boot dreamScape, they're in all sorts at the moment. Their form is not good, and based on that last map of Inferno, things may be a little shaky here on Nuke. We have to see how it does start out. This first half is really going to be a big tell-all because Boot dreamScape are starting on T side. There's not so much expectation for them to really get too much done. You're looking at maybe 5 or 6 rounds, and you'd be pretty happy with that. If you get the pistol, you're kind of almost halfway there.
But any less kind of affirms our suspicions about Boot's form today. So I think we'll keep an eye out heading on to Nuke. Second map near here as well, and we start with a pause, unfortunately.
And we also start with Boot on the CT side.
Okay.
So that is a bit interesting. We'll see whether or not that actually ends up changing.
Let's look at the map more.
Yeah, I guess for Boot starting on CT side, that's great. Like, why wouldn't you want to? You could say the argument for Vindicta is that they really felt pretty good on the T side of Inferno, which I think we did kind of see to an extent. But I wouldn't be particularly keen to be starting off on the T side of Nuke. There is always the opportunity that if you start on T Nuke, you get that pistol, you get the first gun round, you kind of think, okay, we've done our job. Now we can really just completely crush Boot dreamScape. But it is a bit of a risk. I think this allows Boot dreamScape a much easier way back into this series. You know, you start off on the CT side, things go pretty nicely, generally speaking. You can build the CT economy up, and you get a bit of momentum, even though it's generally considered that the CT side of Nuke is a bit easier to play than the T side of Nuke. You're still going to be feeling good if you're winning 12-3 kind of in the half. It's like, okay, that's kind of more often than not the scoreline that we do see, but I still feel like, yeah, we got 12 rounds on the first half. Our momentum's back. We're hitting our shots. And then heading into the T side, you just have to get 4 rounds or so. That's the go-to right now for Boot dreamScape, I think. They just need to start off well here and kind of have a decent first half, and that's where they can start to think about coming back into this series. Because right now, you can definitely tell that they're kind of not out of it, but they're definitely down and very nearly out.
Because you could argue as well, their CT side on the side of Inferno just didn't look too good.
No.
At the start for Boot, it was just kind of a lackluster performance, and maybe this is going to be the reprieve for them. We are just in the middle of a technical pause, so we'll be jumping into map 2 shortly, but for Boot, the redemption story doesn't exist at the moment. They're not into the lower bracket. It's not about fighting their way back up. It's about fighting their way back against Vindicta, the team that is also representing Singapore. So they want to take their place. They want to move forward. And as we jump on in now, Vindicta have an opportunity to do so with that 1 map lead.
Yeah, it's almost like a bit of a sibling rivalry here between Boot and Vindicta, with Vindicta being that plucky up-and-coming team and Boot dreamScape the old experienced hand. And we'll see if Boot dreamScape can use some of that experience to come away with a win here. Vindicta trying to cross into Secret with no smokes at all.
Tommy hasn't found anyone. He will find the last one, though, with the help of Moxie. So 1 pick off, and the hard push coming through from Vindicta, but they don't find too much. Lenny doesn't get that one-on-one trade either. Egoist just pops his head out. And suddenly a 2v4. This round has gone awry. That's a quick trade there from Vindicta, and somehow managed to bring this back into contention to a degree. 1v3 is hard, but man, that shot looked good.
Impression's got the dualies. I'm not so sure what that was really from Vindicta, trying to cross with no smokes or anything like that. Yeah, it's the pistol round, but trying to cross into Secret when you're up against USP, that is just begging for someone to hit a headshot. Speaking of which, Egoist has been hitting a few in this round. Impression's down quite low. Still winnable here for Egoist, even though he's only got 12 HP.
Well, what can the dualies do?
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. Egoist hitting some great shots.
Yeah, at the moment, Moxie is just standing up there in heaven, watching the ladder. So Egoist can definitely find 1v1s. 1v1s are winnable. He's not got much time left, though. And it looks like he is going to go up the ladder, which will be his undoing. Moxie gets a headshot to Boot. Bit of overkill in the end there, but nicely done from Boot dreamScape. They deny the pistol from Vindicta. Not hugely impressed by that pistol round, though, from Vindicta. I think they sort of just said, hey, let's run through Outer and let's run into Secret. Need to see more from them on the T side if they're going to be able to win here on Nuke.
Looked like it was a spicy round from Vindicta at one point, but it was just Egoist coming off the back. SMG's bought for Boot. FAMAS there as well. Splashkey hasn't bought anything just yet, but a lot of utility on the board and pushing onto out of that Moxie once again. Bitten off a little bit too much. The trade comes through with a good flash coming once again from Vindicta, and Lenny takes the higher angle.
I'm getting a bit of a sense of deja vu here.
I am as well.
Bomb goes down. That's on the B bomb site, I think. Boot dreamScape don't actually have control of that right now. Tommy! Oh, no.
Look, there will be a trade from Bulbasaur, and at least he'd be able to UMP the side of MYE. But LNE, excuse me, Lenny will be holding this site alone. Picked up the MP9, just can't land the shots.
Yeah, no armor there, so aim punch is a bit of a factor. But that's really good, actually, from Vindicta. A great eco round where they get the bomb down, they take 3 guns away from Boot dreamScape, so it's going to be a costly reinvestment out from Boot here in this one. Vindicta, because they get that bomb down, they get a bit of extra cash, so they're going to be able to buy into all the utility that they could want. Egoist is even going to be able to get himself an AWP and armor that'll be thrown over to Dark, an AK for him most likely. But look at all the utility that Vindicta have here in their first gun round, not to mention they have an AWP as well. So that's really, really actually hugely impactful for Vindicta, but they actually have to make use of it. They have to do something with it in this round. You need to win this round, otherwise it's kind of all for naught, and Boot dreamScape starts to run away with the half.
We'll see these crazy outer rushes, a bit more calm and collected, as is the Vindicta way.
Well, Splashkey is going to find Dark straight away. The AWP battle immediately in the favor of Splashkey, who's holding in the warehouse. Impression will drop. So it's back to a 4v4. Smokes are going to be for Outer to smoke the cross into Secret. That's kind of what we wanted to see on the pistol, but again, you can't really invest into 2 smokes necessarily so easily on the pistol. Means you'd be lacking some armor. But regardless, going down that rabbit hole a little bit too much, Vindicta have tried to fake out that they're going Outer. And now looking to perhaps explode on the A bomb site, which at the moment is being solo held by Tommy. I think Splashkey might be in a position there, but Moxie's getting a lot of information now. So Vindicta, they'll be walking into a bit of a trap by the looks of things.
They won't land, but Tommy in his positioning. He's in the perfect place, and they weren't too sure where exactly he was, but Vindicta has successfully pushed onto the A bomb side. In the 2 versus 3, Vindicta managed to take the Moxie with the flank. He finds one. Now they know exactly where he is.
Yeah, you're not expecting Moxie to be there that quickly, so he's already had the impact, brings it back to 2v2. Hot flash here, somehow doesn't actually fully blind him, and oh my goodness, Styron gets a headshot as well. All in all, nicely done from Vindicta. I thought MYE was a little bit slow to turn away from that flash, could have done a little bit of a better job of that, but all in all, Vindicta will win the first gun round fairly solidly, I want to say, but it's not like great, we just smashed that round. That was still kind of up in the air. Tommy gets one more from sitting on top of Hut. He probably wins that round for Boot Dreamscape. But it'll be an eco now for Boot, and Vindicta should be able to run over this one pretty comfortably indeed. Remember, we're not looking for too many rounds of Vindicta here in the first half. We're looking for something like 5 or 6, and they'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, early start again. Doesn't matter if it's Inferno or Nuke for Vindicta. Able to bring back some semblance of power here, especially. Now, Styron thinking about pushing towards outside. But he's just holding the position for now. At the moment, Boot Dreamscape. Spread evenly. Moxie's been playing a lot more aggressively here as well. I think from the last game, we saw a bit of lackluster performance from Moxie. But he's managed to play that aggression. He's pushed outside a couple of times as well. Maybe times when you wouldn't.
Styron is just holding down this to see if there's any push from Boot. But nothing really being done by the CT side right now. Vindicta haven't got too much information just yet, but they're going to spot one out. The Eagle headshot out from Tommy. That's always nice. 1 for 1 at the very least. Not much more you can hope for on a pistol round.
Dangerous from Dark. Had the grenade out as he opened the door as well. Not sure what he was expecting there, but hiding in vents is Moxie, so opportune shots. Egoist just cleans up the rest of the blood. Bulbasaur at least able to trade off, and Moxie as well. Remember, having a much better round. This is suddenly a 2v2 with guns in hand of Moxie. Yeah,
don't give these AKs over to Boot Dreamscape. That's really going to aid the buy later on down the track. Sure, it's still probably around here for Vindicta, but I think Boot Dreamscape may give this one a crack, especially now that Bulbasaur has absolutely nailed Dark.
Now 2v1, winnable round. Styron sitting right on the bomb. And then the first shot. Styron evens out the odds.
He doesn't know where Moxie's coming from.
He's behind him. Moxie finds it. Won't be able to find the defuse, but Boot Dreamscape able to nail that round down. A couple more kills on Moxie as well, so at least bit of money in hand.
Bit of money, and Boot actually can buy off the back of this. Moxie can drop a gun over for impression. Bulbasaur will probably have to run away with the UMP, but all in all, it's not going to be a terrible buy, just because of the fact that they do take that AK through. Vindicta have to do a little bit more work here. It'll be a Mag 7 for impression. Always love to see it. Haven't been seeing too much Mag 7 action lately, actually.
So where do you take that? Do you take that to A?
Probably, yeah, probably up on HUD or something like that. I don't know where impression actually is. Yeah, it looks like he's playing around, yeah, just above HUD. Exactly. So that's a good position for it. Vindicta has shown a tendency to go toward this A bomb site when they've had their guns. But they have managed to get Lenny down into Secret.
If they can win this round as well, think about the momentum that Vindicta are going to take.
Well, that'll reset Dreamscape, so it should be another round. So probably 4-2 from the back of that. Big round here, actually, for both sides.
Perfect start. Vindicta's slow again. That's Egoist leading the charge. The drop down from impression. He just one-shots him with the Mag 7.
Yeah, I think Vindicta getting a little bit predictable here for Boot. Those A hits I mean, you have a player in secret. You can try and do something with that. But Lenny's just been double tapped by Splashkey walking through outer. And Vindicta seem to have run out of ideas as they're just slowly walking their way toward the A-bomb site. They just need to hit fantastic shots to get in here. But
got heaps of utility as well, just not using it to push on the site. Take the shot behind the silos. They're just pushing in. Still grenades in hand, and this is a favourable trade in the end for Vindicta, but they're not happy to take the 2v1. Instead, Styron not able to read that, and dreamScape pick up the round.
Yeah, Tommy just playing a little bit sneakily. Not giving away his position. Will net an easy round in the end for dreamScape. Fairly expensive though, all things considered. They're going to have to fully buy back down to 0. So this next round still impactful for Vindicta. Take some guns away from Boot dreamScape here. In the next gun round, you're still able to reset them straight away. And even though it would be maybe like 4-2 for dreamScape, you can straight away bring it back to something like 4-4. But that is obviously assuming that you can get kills in this round as Vindicta, which at this point seems to be quite unlikely.
Seems to be a bit of a favourable turn back to Boot, though. Of course, there is favourability towards the CT side, Jordan, but we were saying before, the predictability of Vindicta here. No guns lost on the back of that round from Boot, but again, that predictability, as I was just saying, from Vindicta. Maybe if Boot can get on top of that and continue to read. Yeah,
Vindicta's not really doing much, if that makes sense. You know, they're setting themselves up, they're looking in toward the A-bomb site, but they're not really throwing any executes out onto the A-bomb site. They're not really throwing much pressure onto Boot dreamScape.
We praise them for their utility on Inferno. It hasn't really been the same case here on Nuke.
Yeah, so it hasn't been too much variety just yet from Vindicta. Admittedly, we're only 6 rounds in, but it's kind of already looking like they don't really know exactly what they want to be doing here on Nuke. And the only way that they're winning these rounds is if they're getting opening kills or, you know, winning positive aim duels and that kind of thing. But they're not really winning themselves the rounds by outthinking Boot dreamScape at the moment. And Deagles and Armor out here for Vindicta. Again, really what they're trying to do, the mission is to take guns away from Boot, but they're being beaten at every turn. They haven't put pressure on Ramp Room. They haven't really done much with Outer. They've kind of looked in towards Secret a little bit, but every time they've done that, it hasn't really worked out too nicely. So the setups have just been in toward lobby for Vindicta and then a player floating around on Outer. And if anyone loses an aim battle, which so far they have been, that sort of just falls apart for Vindicta. So you'll be seeing some more pressure around the map. Good shot from Egoist, but it doesn't matter too much in the scheme of things.
Obviously able to clean this one up as well to get the last shot. So at least 2 guns out of the game, but
yeah, but if you lose only 2 guns against Pistol Armor, you're like, okay, we did pretty reasonably there. I think that's fine for Boot dreamScape, especially considering where their money is at right now. Another gun round out for Vindicta, but it won't be a reset round for dreamScape just yet. A few players with enough money to rebuy. Moxie will be a bit low, but all in all, not too bad for Boot dreamScape. And they haven't really been pressured at all so far. So I want to see something different from Vindicta. You know, throw some smokes into Secret, try and put some pressure on Secret, try and put some pressure on Outer. Moxie pushing up here very aggressively. Probably able to get the better of Dark here.
Splashkey on the AWP as well. Watching for the peak. Said Moxie was playing aggressively once again, holding this angle.
Yep.
Dark has to be careful.
You're not going to be expecting a guy like that.
Yeah. And again, Moxie does it. Bulbasaur holding the same angle. He'll throw a molly, diffuse the situation, but Lenny's already in.
Yeah, Lenny is in, but Egoist did take a headshot for Vindicta, taking control of Ramp Room. And what are they going to do with Ramp Room? It seems like they set themselves up somewhere and then they just sit and wait and see if Boot is going to push into them, but Boot never does. Boot doesn't have to.
Different level of patience. On Inferno, we'd see this and we'd say, that's great, because it forced the rotate to come through. But for Boot, I mean, they're not spread thin here. Still got the man advantage. And Egoist is low. AWP shot will miss there. But the second time, Splashkey peeks out. Styron takes him down.
That's a very good shot from Styron.
This is going to be crucial as well. What do Vindicta do with this? Egoist.
See, the difference here is that now that they've actually managed to get that shot, that slower play is actually going to work because it is going to force the movements from Boot dreamScape, the aggressive movements where they try to find some positioning and some information. Moxie around the back here, though, he can shut it down, and he will. 2 kills. Might not be enough, though, as he's traded out straight away. Tommy will get dropped. Ego is coming up absolutely massive in this round. He's got 14 HP. Bomb's going to go down, and now it's Bulbasaur in a 1v2.
Somehow Vindicta have managed to claw this round into their contention, into their round. Bulbasaur's in heaven. No information just yet. Bomb planted on the other side of the silos.
That's
not looking. Yep.
And Ego is 14. He's got no HP. He's given away his position, and Bobasaur will win the aim battle. Egoist didn't need to be doing anything there. He hadn't tapped the bomb. Bobasaur had no idea where he was, but Egoist just trying to pull the trigger a little bit too early there. Vindicta have let that one slip. Something chronic.
Now,
to be honest, it probably shouldn't have been their round to begin with.
I know you're getting frustrated in the first game in Inferno with Boot Dreamscape. Couple of issues that we were very easy to point out. Vindicta here, especially in that last round, couple of issues there. Maybe not as easy to point out, but it seems like one slip-up is always capitalized by the other team, as it should be. And Boot Dreamscape making this first half look pretty clean from now.
Yeah, a lot of little things here for Vindicta. I mean, I kind of like the way that they ended up actually taking control of that round, but not able to win in the 2v1. Hole in the smoke this time again. That just shows the inexperience here on Nuke from Vindicta. If you're throwing those smokes, they can't afford to be a hole at all.
Works out.
Great kill, though, from Dark. That wasn't necessarily the hole that I was talking about, but you're right, it does work out. That was the CT smoke making the hole in the end. But all in all, much better round here for Vindicta as they've started off. They've taken control of ramp room early on. A lot of options now here for Vindicta.
They're actually pushing in. So it's finally happening, a push on a B-bomb side. The aggression's still there. Egoist just peeks into the window and takes one down. Dark on the outside now, going to be dropping down. Impression has no idea he's behind him. Egoist finds another good shot on the splash key. It's a 3 versus 1, and Vindicta have somehow managed to find themselves in a favorable position in this round. Impression will peek around the side. They know exactly where he is.
Well, Egoist is just hitting heads. Much quicker round, I should say, out from Vindicta there. And that's worked out fantastically for them. They're able to find that opening frag, and it seems like when Vindicta get that opening frag, Boot Dreamscape kind of just fall apart a little bit. In the end, not really a close round. 3 guns through for Vindicta. Boot are going to save here. No, they're not. They're going to force buy. Very late force call. So, I don't know. Things still looking a bit shaky here for Dreamscape. And
pressure on the Mag 7 again as well.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. Sure, the Mag 7 did work out the first time, but he's made a bit of noise there. Looks like Dreamscape want to play aggressively. Splashkey pushing up, Impression pushing up. They want to make that pincer strike work. Vindicta, they've negotiated the situation fairly well, though, and they've found themselves quite safe. For the moment, at least.
Crosshairs on both. But no one willing to make the first move. Again, Vindicta, no kill down just yet, so they're happy to play it slow. See if this works out. Impression is there waiting. Lenny's going to be the first to peek. Takes the first shot. He survives by 7. You do hate to see it, but Tommy's ready on the cleanup crew. He'll sit in the corner. He'll go down eventually, but from heaven, they've actually just spotted out Moxie. He'll be flamed.
Splashkey's probably going to die here as well. Eagle is watching the angle. Nice little crouch peek, though, from Splashkey. Will net him the kill. Bomb's gone down. 3v3. Winnable still here for Boot Dreamscape, but Vindicta in good post plants.
Wait for it. Oh, she's not going to go through. Darren playing with time. Quick headshot, shuts the door, says go home. They knew Moxie was up there, but they might have forgotten about him. He finds a second. Suddenly this round is done.
Yeah. Moxie's position was just far too superior, even though they get that opening kill onto Styron. Styron can't get out of that position next to Vent, and that's a pretty easy one to shut down from heaven. Getting the first one there for Moxie untouched as well is just great. And all in all, very nice retake from Boot Dreamscape. The round and the half just started to slip away a little bit from Vindicta here. Even though they're keeping it interesting, they're making Dreamscape work for this. They're not really getting rewarded for these good positions that they're putting themselves in. The retakes are too strong from Boot Dreamscape. It'll be another pistol armor buyout here from Vindicta. But if they aren't able to really get, 2 rounds in a row or 2 or 3 rounds in a row here, they're not really going to be able to make it a strong first half here. Even despite it looking pretty decent so far from Vindicta at times.
Moxie finds yet another one. He's having a much better game, number 2, on Nuke. And for Vindicta, they were able to make that move through ramp room before. There was a lot of potential. There's a lot of momentum on the back of that play. It seems like it was one game, and that was pretty much it. Now, they're able to take Tommy down, but it's not going to be too much for Vindicta here. And the CT side of Dreamscape still, again, looking better and better as we come towards round number 11.
That's still not too shabby. Vindicta able to get the bomb down in that round. You would have been happy with that, I suppose. So, not too bad. We'll see a buy here from Vindicta in the next round, but this is kind of crunch time now for Vindicta. It's either make or break. You can make this first half something pretty impactful, or we're just going to be going to a kind of a standard pass score of something like 10-5 maybe for Boot Dreamscape, or 11-4 for Boot Dreamscape, in which case The map likely will go the way of Boot Dreamscape, so this round will tell us a lot as to how the rest of the half, in particular, is going to play out. And then potentially how the rest of the map is going to play out as well.
Dark moves back onto the AWP.
Haven't seen that too much actually here on Nuke.
No, Moxie's been controlling outside at the point on this game, so.
Well, Splashkey won the initial AWP duel against Dark straight away, and ever since then we haven't really seen Dark do too much with the AWP. But this time Splashkey doesn't have the AWP on the CT side. Quicker play out from Vindicta. Again, just having a look into B ramps and then obviously outer.
Ego's going to spray through the smoke, but outside pretty much controlled by Vindicta at the moment.
Yeah, Moxie's the prize right now for Vindicta. If they can get him out of warehouse, really opens up a lot of avenues. But Moxie's playing quite passively at the moment. Not keen to show his face, and that's fair. Dark working all the angles. All he needs is the one opener here, and he might just get it. He's been spotted, but no shot connected with the AWP this time.
Oh, he's there though. Moxie not going to move from his position. MYE knows he's in there. He's been in there every single round. Otherwise, he's been hard on the push when they've ecoed. But smokes are out, and it looks like Vindicta ready to make the move.
Well, they've faked it towards Secret. Moxie hasn't peeked for info just yet, but they're going to have to make their way into the A bomb side, and there is a lot of Boot Dreamscape players there. None of them have rotated into B. There's only 28 seconds here. This is not looking great for Vindicta, I don't think.
Bobo's in such good position as well. They'll find him. But is it a little bit too late? 2 members already down. That's the third from Splashkey. A trade from MYE. But Bobo just pulls out the pistol. Unable to find the kill in response. But Staron now left by himself in a 1 versus 3.
He can't win the round.
There's no time left. He'll pick up the AWP. He'll try and trade this off. He just sees the elbow from before.
Well, he really doesn't want to die after time here.
Oh,
now he will.
Staron. And that's going to hurt for Vindicta.
Yep, he's going to have to really take another eco next round, although for Vindicta, the rest of them will be able to buy. So it's eco time here for Vindicta. Next round, they have to buy. Staron will be just on a pistol and armor or something like that. Not great news at all for Vindicta here.
But at least a better story of consistency from Boot.
They're just not making use of the advantages that they give themselves, if that makes sense. Good shot there from Dark, though. And he'll get the AK. So a small chance, small opening for dreamScape. No, sorry, for Vindicta. Staron's stuck. He needs help. Someone needs to back him up. Someone needs to shoot Tommy.
Too busy with impression on the other side. Egoist goes down. And Molly maybe a little bit too short as the door closes once again, and that'll get him out.
Dark needs to make some magic happen with that AK.
Bobo's just been so strong on this ramp. As I say that, though, he's going to have to drop down, flash out. They're chasing him down. Aggressive as always. Bobo just turns and ready to machine gun whoever stands in his path, but they do get the pick, and they'll be able to get on the bomb side. Tommy gets low as well. Vindicta might actually have something this round.
Well, it's all really down to Tommy. The bomb should get planted here. Splashkey's going to get caught on the off timing. No. Oh, it's starting to fall apart a little bit for Boot Dreamscape as the bomb does go down. Let's see if those retakes work out as well for Boot as they have been so far.
Timing a big part of it as well. He's just spraying into doors, eventually gets it towards the end of the clip. With the peek through from impression, he's just taken so much damage. Now playing with time for the bomb. Dark's here. He sees the peek. Oh. He gets the turnaround. And Dark now in the 1v1. Yeah, that's not a fake. He's actually defusing. Time's running out. The defuse goes through. And unfortunate for Vindicta, that could have been their round, but Boot stick to their guns and pick up their 10th.
Yeah, it just felt like Boot got a little bit the better of them in that retake. Vindicta kind of hurrying themselves, not really in their post-plant positions as they wanted to be. The guy jumping through the smoke gifts a free kill over to Tommy, I think it was. Still an expensive round for Boot Dreamscape, but it shouldn't matter in the scheme of things if they do win this round. You know, we head into the last round of the half. Vindicta's, you know, kind of like whatever, okay.
So like that, yeah.
So for Boot, it comes down to this round. Same, like, I mean, I guess really for Vindicta, it comes down to this round. Like, they did a bit of work in the last round. If they can't follow it up with a round win here, it was all for naught. It doesn't matter at all. It could end up being a 12-3 first half. Vindicta have the opportunity now to turn it into 10-5 because they can reset Boot Dreamscape, but they haven't been able to really do that. Shot
from Splashkey there on the AWP, though. That'll just set up the round perfectly. And you have to think twice about peeking. The flash is out again, but it's just going to be faked and backed away from. Vindicta cannot afford to lose this round.
No, they definitely can't. 12-3 half would really cement Boot Dreamscape as the kings of Nuke here. 5 up for Vindicta. It still leaves them with a chance. But it doesn't look like that is going to be much of a chance at all. As Moxie will shut down Dark. Pressure will fall on the rafters, though.
MIE, Tommy in position, but Styron picks him out, and now a 3 versus 2. Hopefully we do not see a repeat of last round. Moxie's going high, and it looks like Splashy's going low.
Well, Moxie's been very good from this position. So far, so good. He hasn't been spotted out. Splashkey making a bit too much noise there, though. And Moxie can't do a whole lot in the 1v3. Vindicta will win the round, and they'll finally reset Boot Dreamscape. You could argue a little too late. If they make it to 10-5, it's still kind of a pass score here for Boot on the CT side, but we'll see what Vindicta can do on CT. You've got to ensure, as Vindicta here, that you make this 5th round work. You definitely cannot lose this one here.
At least for Vindicta, this is an opportunity. 10-5 kind of feels like the average point of Nuke on the T side, so you could end like that, and then we saw the CT side of Vindicta. It wasn't too bad. Vobasor peeking out, and this round goes as expected. It's just Egoist again, picking up another 3K. MYE almost taken down Styron, but Boot Dreamscape end the half. 10-5 here on Nuke. Moving over to the CT side.
Pretty standard stuff there. I actually feel as though Vindicta probably could have had 1 or 2 more rounds. Had some of the clutches gone their way as opposed to the way of Boot Dreamscape. A few of them actually would have put in the favour of Vindicta, so their execution in closing the rounds out wasn't as good as it could have been, and that's really netted them a bit of a deficit here. 10-5. It'll be tough to come back from, obviously, even despite the fact that they're on the CT side. It is still 5 rounds that you have to claw back. If Pistol goes the way of Boot Dreamscape, there's obviously even a bit more to come back from there. So second half, the start of the second half will be pretty impactful for both of these two teams. But Vindicta, they need to start off well. They've shown us some good moments there on Nuke, but nothing super solid on the T side. They're moving over onto the easier side now, so this is where things might start to heat up. But
you can imagine if Boot aren't able to maintain these next 5 rounds, if Boot aren't able to take Nuke down, there's going to be some real issues. Egoist has just been overrun now as the push comes through. Down onto ramp. Won't find their head. Just runs into Vobasor. There will be a trade across the map, but it's too late. Already on the side of B, Boot are ready for plant. Yeah, but they do have a CT player there to deal with. Styron does decide to actually hold his position as opposed to peeking out and denying the bomb plant. In the end, that's the wrong idea. A couple of wrong decisions being made by Vindicta, though at the time they weren't necessarily wrong, if that makes sense. So, you know, they tried to go for what I would consider the riskier play in the positions that they held in terms of Egoist deciding not to fall all the way back into the B bomb side and play the crossfire. He decided to just sit on the cutout, sit on the corner and try and take the 1v1 battles, assuming that he could hit the headshot. And if he did hit the headshot, if he was able to do that, it was definitely going to be the right idea. But it turns out it didn't work out, so the round does go the way of Boot Dreamscape, and that's not a great start to the second half here for Vindicta at all. This means that their CT economy is going to be much more difficult to get rolling. Boot Dreamscape have an opportunity now to just steamroll over this second map and push us through to Mirage. But definitely very important for Boot. They took the CT round to lead us off with pistols, but for Vindicta, falling ever so far behind, things are looking possible that will go on to Mirage. And if we do get to that point, then for Boot, there are some concerns as well. I think there's some concerns for both teams. It isn't their best map. But previously, Vindicta has performed so much better on a map like Mirage. To start us off, Moxie, yep, this one's already done.
Yeah, well, not really much there for Vindicta. They've only got the pistols. Splashkey will go down. A little costly for the economy there for Boot, but not really anything to get too concerned about. Lenny waiting for them to follow him down the vent, but no one will decide to.
So what do you think about Mirage? If we get there, which it could be likely at this point, what's your favoritism?
I mean, in this matchup, I'd always be favoring Boot. I would have favored them on Inferno as well, but I think it's definitely a real possibility that Vindicta can win Mirage. You know, I would still say 2-1 to Boot Dreamscape, assuming they win this map here. But because of the fact that we've seen Mirage sometimes be a little bit worrisome for Boot, today they don't seem to be really on point. I'm not 100% sure that Boot will win that. You know, I'd be sitting on maybe like 65% for Boot, 60-40, sort of something like that.
That doesn't convince me, no.
No, it's definitely not convincing, I don't think, for Boot. If they win this series, it won't be a convincing series win for them. Nuke's looking pretty convincing with the scoreline at least, but from the match that we've watched, I haven't felt it has been as convincing as a 12-5 might dictate. Buy will come out, though, from Vindicta here, so then we'll get to see whether or not they can make their way back into this second half and do much the same as what Boot did to them.
And see the org for the first time here as well. Those adaptations from more North America and Europe as we've just come off of IEM Chicago.
One shot headshot at close range, and only $50 more on the CT side.
$50.
Not much of a question for me, actually.
Good utility out here from Boot, actually.
Yeah, we've been accustomed to that. Already looking like they've got a little bit more in the back pocket on the T side of Nuke than what Vindicta do, as they've managed to get Splash Key all the way down. The cross into Secret, very quick and decisive from dreamScape, but the opener there from Dark onto Moxie. So, bit of a spanner in the works there for Boot in this first gun round. While the round is looking okay, things are a little bit questionable now with that player deficit, and Egoist in this position can definitely do some work.
I think he's up there. A couple of sprays come out. Styron now holding the long position.
Yeah.
Control room's breached. Molly's out.
Styron's position is going to make Egoist feel a little bit more comfortable, but he's been pushed off now by some utility. He does get Bulbasaur, though.
Still able to hold. They're going to get the push out. Gun just swapped over, but Egoist's positioning works out. The bomb is down. And for Boot, well, this round looks done and dusted. It's just simple holdings there. Impression will get a pick off the bat now. 1v3. Definitely still possible.
Maybe.
Depends if he goes back up to control room. Styron, he'll finish it off, so that maybe becomes a no. And Vindicta back on the board.
Yeah, but for how long is the question? It should be an eco for dreamScape. Well, I mean, actually, you could force into this as dreamScape because the money is so low for Vindicta. As dreamScape, you obviously would like to think that you can do a lot of damage, at least to the economy, if not win the round. So if Boot dreamScape get a bit of damage done here, puts Vindicta into a bit of a precarious position, economically speaking.
Very wise, John.
So I think it's not a bad choice from Boot here.
Oh, the favourite's coming in. Splashkey slow on the push. Smoke's out. MIE just holding the position for outside, but... And he's holding up in the rafters. Boot playing the style of Vindicta. Slow, waiting for the pick, then ready to make their move, but might be ramp room that they once again make an impact in. Styron just sprays down, only finds the first. Egoist gets nothing from that as well. Sorry, he does get a trade onto Moxie, but what does this achieve? Because Vindicta not in the right position here.
Well, it's onto this battle here. Splashkey, if he goes down, is going to give a strong position to Vindicta, 2v3. Lenny's taken a lot of damage there, though, and Dark might actually get caught off on the timing. Bulbasaur's in a pretty good spot. Oh, Dark doesn't even check it.
Right next to each other as well, Jordan.
2v2 now. You have to favour Boot dreamScape. Their post-plant looks good.
Let's get the retake back on site. Time's running out. Bulbasaur still hasn't been spotted. He'll take the spray down. Finished off as well. And Bulbasaur makes that round look easy. 20-10 is his score right now, and 6-13 for Boot.
Yeah. Just Boot getting a lot more going on the T side here than what Vindicta were able to do. You can see the way that they work the map, the way that they position themselves and force Vindicta out of positions, force those rotations. It's a lot stronger than what Vindicta was really able to do to Boot in that first half. So I think this is looking like it's going to fall by the wayside just a little bit for Vindicta here. 13-6. I would even not be surprised to see a 16-6 pop up here for Boot, just the way that they're playing right now on Nuke. Splashkey, very confident, charging out onto the site. Hasn't really worked out too well for him. Boot might have given Vindicta a bit of a lifeline back into this.
Somehow, some way, it's a 2v2. Now Styron's coming up vents. Bomb plant going down. Ego's picked up the mask here as well, so he forced. He's now going to have to take that 1v2. Moxie and Bulbasaur both low. They do not know where he is. Bulbasaur has to be careful.
Bomb needs to be planted yet as well, and that smoke is not great. Egos could pop out here and deny it, and he will. He gets the 2.
Jordan. We're back.
Well, I don't know about that yet. 13-7, it's still not back, but it is an eco for dreamScape here. A round that they probably should not have lost has given Vindicta a chance back into it. But even still, like Vindicta haven't been solid on the CT side. They weren't solid on the T side either. I'm still thinking Boot Dreamscape's looking better here on Nuke, and I just feel like it's a matter of time. It's kind of like what we saw on Inferno, where Boot sort of, they had their moments, potential to come back in, but they never really grasped it, and I get the sense that that's going to be what we'll see out here from Vindicta as well. While they've got chances, they just can't convincingly enough win rounds that mean that they're going to be able to win, you know, 5, 6 in a row to bring them back into a good position.
Well, Vindicta have been showing that they've had some opportunities and able to pull it back just like Boot had, but again, you're right with Inferno. We see the same consistent patterns come through. But Vindicta right now, this is going by the wayside again. The scout didn't work out outside, and Boot have picked up some guns and now just wreaking havoc. So 3 versus 2.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have a scout and then not hit shots with it. Once he got wrapped upon by the pistols, it's not going to work out too well for him.
I think this round will cement it then, Jordan.
Yeah, pretty much. That's 14-7 up for dreamScape. Vindicta, like I said, you had your chance, but you've let it slip.
Why'd you point to me? No, you're right. For Boot to close this one out, it's going to be an Ego now for Vindicta to try and buy in the last round. There's been some good performances from Egoists here, but I think, what's our word? Fallen by the wayside.
Yep.
Seems to be the trend here for Vindicta, and their Nuke performance hasn't been as strong as their Inferno. You can see why Boot decided to pick this one up.
Yeah, there was chances for Vindicta, I felt, but they really haven't been able to fully grasp the few rounds that might have turned the tables here and given them a real lead on Nuke. But it's looking too easy for Boot dreamScape on the T side.
Well, for Boot, they've always had trouble kind of challenging Vindicta, and this is why I think the story is so good, because Vindicta, even though they're the underdog, they haven't acted like it on many different maps. But when it comes down to Nuke, you go through the history and you go, right, Boot have had pretty good showings here. And you can pretty much see why. Their consistency's kind of come back to an even point. Their one-on-one trades have been pretty standard, pretty favourable for them. Whereas on Inferno, we looked and said, well, these aim battles just aren't happening.
Well, Boot's just looking a lot more solid here on Nuke than they were on Inferno. It just seemed like they didn't really have a great idea as to what their game plan was on Inferno, and the calls were coming in sort of mid-round, and yeah, like Boot just, I don't know how to really frame it, but they just seemed a little bit lost on Inferno, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't really get that same sense here on Nuke. Everything they do does look quite deliberate. They seem to be able to react accordingly. Again, I guess a bit of damage done by Egoist, not too big of a deal, really. Again, Vindicta's not going to be able to buy. It's map point now for Boot dreamScape. So you can expect this one is going to go 16-7.
Well, take it all one apiece. The force comes out as much as possible, but still not going to be enough. And Styron, he felt confident on the scout about 3 rounds in a row. And we just didn't see the results we were expecting.
Yep. Like, if Styron had a UMP in the position that he was playing in Warehouse in that round, at least he would have done some damage. But if you miss at the scout and they get on top of you, like, the scout isn't even really particularly scary at all. So you just run around and try and do some damage, and it's like, right, you've got a scout. Have fun. Try.
At least you
try
did
to do something. You know, you have to be an absolute god with the scout for it to be pretty scary. Which I'm not getting the sense that Styron is.
It'd still be an opportunity if Moxie didn't find that shot. And suddenly it's a 2 versus 4. And this round's going to send it packing. And I think we're expecting a lot from Nuke, especially how Vindicta played Inferno. But it turns out that Boot, still the stronger side. There has been a kill in response, so it turns into a 3 versus 2. But the bomb plant going to go down here, and Boot going to seal the deal.
It's not over just yet, but it could be momentarily. Dark will drop. Lenny in a 1v3. At least he's got himself an AK to play with. A bit of armor as well. No head armor, of course, but not likely to make too much of a difference. He doesn't even spot the guy above the silo.
He will now, but it's not going to be enough. So Boot, equalize. 1 apiece. Means we're going to map 3. Means we're going to Mirage. And I think this is anyone's guess as to who will look better on Mirage after what we've seen on both Inferno and Nuke.
Yeah, definitely.
Or Dust too.
Definitely a much better performance there from Boot dreamScape on Nuke. Like I said, I mean, to start off with, a little bit surprised actually that they're allowed to start on CT side. In saying that, the CT side of Vindicta didn't really look all that impressive anyway, so I think it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference to the result now in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of one thing that, you know, again, for Vindicta might have been questionable. Vindicta had their chances on that T side. Some of their rounds were very, very close. If they would have won a couple of the clutches, they won a pistol round as well. So they had an opportunity to get more than 5 rounds. I think we could have seen them with 7 or 8 had things gone their way on the day. Would it have been enough even then when Boot were on the T side? I don't think it would have been actually, because Boot was looking really, really solid on their T side. Their rotations around the map, their positioning, their set strategies.
Decision
Too
making
much for Vindicta.
Probably the highest point for me, especially since Vindicta just couldn't make a decision. It relied on them getting a pick, and then they're going, right, are we pushing through ramp room and then we actually going to make a play towards B, or what are we doing? So I think leadership was definitely a fact in the second map for Boot. But coming back to Inferno, if we see that Vindicta, that one that's happy to play it slow on a map that maybe can play for more utility, then I think, you know, as we go towards Mirage, well, that definitely favors them.
Yeah, Mirage is really one that's up in the air, in my opinion. You know, obviously, Boot dreamScape have brought back some momentum with the win on the board there, but it wasn't so convincing to me that I think that they're going to walk away with Mirage here, especially given their recent results on the map. I really think Vindicta's in with a chance.
Now, well, you have to hope so. We're going to map number 3. We're going to have a short break. When we return, it's Mirage between Vindicta and Boot.